Hi everyone, and welcome to a little feature presentation that we're doing today, all on Palatoy's Bounty Hunter capture log. Now everyone who is a vintage collector or who grew up in the UK would have at some point seen one of these packaged in many of the toys within the box sets, the vehicles and play sets, and it was amazing. This whole thing is iconic and synonymous with like Palitoy and Star Wars collecting. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, it was a direct-to-consumer promotion created by Palitoy. The idea being to increase sales of like Star Wars products, and in return for that, you would redeem this for exclusive products and content that you, in theory, couldn't get anywhere else. However, not many people realize that it wasn't Palitoy's only attempt at direct-to-consumer marketing. In fact, there was a much bigger and longer one which acted as the inspiration for the Bounty Hunter capture log. And what a lot of people really don't know is that the success of this actually went on to inspire another toy brand completely separate to Palitoy because of what they've done here. Palitoy is, among Star Wars collectors, known for producing the amazing Star Wars range, but like other things like Action Man. And Action Man really was Palitoy's bread and butter all throughout the 70s. In fact, it won Toy of the Decade and was like the #1 boys' toy for the 1970s. Palitoy also would come up with various different ways to engage with like their toy fans, the boys market, and also try and increase the number of sales. There was a promotion called the Stars. Now again, if you are of a certain age or an Action Man fan, you would have seen these, which are very similar in size and in concept to the Bounty Hunter catalogue. On Action Man packaging, you would have what was called stars on the actual packaging, and these were little motifs which represented a value. So the smaller items were only worth a few stars, but the bigger the item, the bigger the vehicle or the playset, the more stars you've got. Now what you would do is you would cut out these stars and you would attach them to the leaflet, and there was various different ones over the years. So the promotions would change from time to time as Action Man would change its branding. But what you would do is collect all the stars and then redeem them for different bits and pieces. This was incredibly effective. In some cases, you would also have to include a little bit of extra for postage and packaging. But this came about originally as a way to liquidate old stock that a lot of the toy shops weren't really interested in doing, in taking anymore. They wanted the new products that were released. They didn't want to be taking old stock. So this was a great way of selling it a little bit cheaper to toy fans, but actually increasing the amount of profit that they would be actually getting from this, because they are selling direct to the consumer, not going through a middleman in terms of the toy retailer. So it was incredibly successful, and as I mentioned, over the years they would like change the style and format and also the rewards. What you receive is quite often a letter, and this one is relating to a free Action Man. So you could actually save up enough points on all of these. Here we go, here's a good one. To get your free Action Man, so 21 stars. Other things included like patches, a book, weapons and accessories, outfits. There was a turbo copter on this one, and that one is like a little HQ command tent. That's really cool. Me personally, I remember getting an Action Man. I remember getting the dog and the Mountie outfit as well. That was so cool. That was like the best day ever when I got the Mountie outfit. Anyway, you would receive this letter along with your free item. Now, this was an incredibly powerful thing because in return for your loyalty, it felt like you were being rewarded with free product. And there are marketing studies to prove that once you receive a free thing, you are actually more likely to go out and purchase a second or third or fourth item to go along with it. So not only was this increasing the profitability of liquidating old stock, but it was also making more sales as a result of receiving this thing 28 days later, because you've forgotten about it, you've banked it, you've got it through, and then there you go, you've got this free thing, even though you paid for it by buying lots of other products. It was very, very successful. So when it came to doing something for Star Wars, over in the United States, you had the proof of purchase. Now, Palitoy had not included that within their packaging design for the Star Wars era. So the proof of purchase, or POPs as they're quite often referred to, were absent. This presented a little bit of a tricky issue, because could you introduce that now? But how would you be able to backdate that promotion for someone who's bought or held onto their packaging and their products before this had come along? The way around it was to cut out the nameplates on the actual packaging. It's a cool little illustration there. And that was using the premise of the bounty hunters, which were like these exciting new characters within The Empire Strikes Back. You were effectively capturing that person, cutting it out. On the vehicles, however, you had the little Boba Fett motifs. So a little graphic that was on there, and that was borrowing from the stars concept of the more motifs on there, the more you could redeem those. So effectively, each one of those represented one nameplate. The bigger the box, the bigger the vehicle playset, the more of those motifs you got. Now, they only remained as a promotion for a very relatively short space of time, and only during Empire Strikes Back. Come Return of the Jedi, they didn't include those motifs going forward into the Jedi era branding. However, the concept of actually cutting out the nameplates did carry through. So we had additional figure mail-ins of the Rancor Keeper, Admiral Akbar, Nine Num, the Emperor, and again, it was still continuing on, cutting out the nameplates. Now, if you've ever been to Farthest From, we're in the hall today that it would normally take place in, you'd quite often see a lot of card backs for sale, and you'd quite often see a lot of them have their nameplates cut out, because enterprising young kids would cut these out and redeem them for whatever special items that you could get. During the actual Empire Strikes Back period, there were three fundamental items you could send away for. Dengar being the first one. Then you've got Survival Kit, which included the backpacks, asteroid gas masks, and grappling hook accessories, and some weapons. And then the big one of the lot was the Darth Vader carry case. That was a huge one, and actually increased costs with that. That one went up to £7 to actually have that included on top of the names that you would redeem. So when you think about it, that wasn't so much of a good deal. Over time, and relatively new to me, they reissued different versions of the Bounty Hunter capture log. I've only got 2 of them, but there are up to 3 different variations of which the easiest way to spot is the graphics that are on there, but also the cost of the postage and packing that's required for each of the items. The Darth Vader carry case, for example, I think started off around about £6, but increased. There's one for 8 there. That one's 8. Whoop. So yes, we got one at 7, but increased to £8. So as the promotion continued, they would soon realise that they would have to make some minor tweaks and then phase out the old catalogues, and then do a new issue reprint that would be included with new toys and accessories in terms of the distribution chain. Beyond Empire Strikes Back, there were other things that were done for the Bounty Hunter capture log, but not done under that branding. You had things like the Unbeatable Office for You, which were the same concept, but was still done underneath the bounty hunter premise. Here we've got a lovely letter here saying, "Dear Bounty Hunter, thank you for taking part in the recent Bounty Hunter offer. Unfortunately, we've had an unprecedented demand for both the Imperial Troop Transporter and the Hoth Wampa. Consequently, all stock has been exhausted and we are unable to fulfill your request." Now, this is a redemption form giving a few tokens back. So rather than sending back your nameplates, this is kind of like a holdover to allow you to redeem on other purchases. And then there's an in-stock list of what is available. Again, what's not falling outside. So I hope this has been fairly interesting, and you might have learned something, you might not. Who knows? But it's to give you a little bit more of a background on something that we all love and not necessarily realise that it was partly inspired by some of the other brands that Palitoy worked on. Now, I always say, never completely absorb yourself in one toy line, because when you look at what they're doing in other toy lines, you get a much broader, wider understanding. And this is a perfect example of that. This is fantastic, and I absolutely love it. I mean, that to me is iconic. But now, hopefully, for some of you, you now realise that it was actually much bigger and beyond. This was just one cog in a much bigger direct-to-consumer marketing program that was like done by Palatoy, and boy, did they do well out of it. Anyway, I hope that's been of interest for you guys. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you very shortly.